First of all, it's my sales coach. I'm not a natural salesperson. So we've been able, like, I'm not a trained market researcher, but I've been able to work with AI to identify the right questions to ask, the right way to ask the questions, get on the phone with my clients' customers, and then analyze the results in a way that's actually statistically significant and meaningful. So that's something that, it's a combination of teaching new skills and then helping apply those skills. I think the speed at which, just synthesis of data. So I think speed, I think accuracy. I think there's always a flip side because I think AI, it gives you it's been trained on the internet. So you get the average of the internet.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Second Brain, AI-powered business thinking. I'm your host, Vimal Patel from RoundTechSquare. Today we have Brian in the house from Denver, Colorado. He owns the brand called Rev Up. They are the marketing firm not only for a profitable organization but also helps a lot of non-profit organizations, and a very special service they provide where they analyze the business, they strategize the whole marketing required and the needs, and then they help you through and through to kind of make your brand and make the organization profitable as well as famous and popular, and then increase a lot of revenue. So yeah, thank you very much, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Vimal. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's an honor to be here and looking forward to a great discussion.
Beautiful, beautiful. So before any further ado, we would like to know more about your brand, Brian, and then what you do, and how do you help the world, and then we'll just get into that main questions. And we were excited to hear about how AI and technology you are using. But tell me more about your brand. What do you do?
Sure. No, thanks. Great question. So Rev Up Growth Partners, I'm actually a co-founder. My wife Cheryl and I started the company about 3 years ago. And what we do is we help both for-profit and nonprofit organizations develop a revenue strategy that's scalable and can help the organization grow profitably. We've both worked over 20 years before we started Rev Up, and we've seen there's a lot of consultants out there. There's a lot of agencies. There's a lot of people that can help with tasks like build a website or build out a content plan. But we want our company to actually partner with our clients to understand where they're at, where they want to go, what might be in their way. And then we don't just build a fancy PowerPoint deck and say, here's what you should do. We've actually assembled a team that can work either with a team or can serve as an entire team in the box. If we're working with an early stage organization that doesn't have any sales or marketing expertise, we can come in and help build out that infrastructure, build the people, process, and technology. And our goal is always to help the company or the nonprofit grow to a place where they can actually bring in their own team full time. So it's actually, unlike most businesses, rolling off a client because they've grown to the point where they're bringing in their own team. That's actually a sign of success for us, and we usually assist with the transition and with hiring and all of that as well.
Okay, beautiful. So in a nutshell, you are a brain behind the brand, right? I mean, you are the person who kind of strategize everything and then, kind of walk them through, help them out, guide them, coach them, and then at the same time hold their hand to kind of, take them to the success. So that's very beautiful. And then the way you said that you started this thing in a 3 years. So I must say that you started the whole agency within the era of AI, and then you must be using or leveraging AI a lot in terms of doing your brand and then getting the more clients and customers. So tell us more about it, like how AI and technology helped you, because 2022, that's where the whole thing happened, right? I mean, the whole AI tools and everything came in the business. So talk us to more about how the AI
Sure.
helping you.
No, it's been a journey, and I do want to say when I first heard about ChatGPT, I had a fairly negative reaction. I'm actually an author. I have a published book. I love to write, and I'm like, no AI bot's going to write better than me, and that's all I thought it could do. And slowly over time, I have evolved to the point where AI, multiple tools, multiple processes are involved in every part of my business. Although I wouldn't say necessarily doing a lot of writing is how I use it the most, but couple areas that I'm leveraging AI that I think are really helpful. First of all, it's my sales coach. I'm not a natural salesperson. I'm on the phone 3 to 4 times a day with prospective clients and prospective partners, people we'd like to work with. And every time I upload the transcript, I have an AI note taker. I upload the transcript and I'm like, what did I do well? What could I improve? And I have found that I get some great feedback there. So that is definitely an area I've been using it in. I've also found in certain cases it's pretty good at data analysis. It's not as sophisticated as some of the other tools, but for doing some light analysis and looking for trends and patterns in client data. So I have a client that's in the e-commerce space, and I was able to pull, and I did this in a confidential, and I sanitized all the data, but all of their sales data for the last 10 years, and I was able to really identify what products sell at what times of the year, what promotions have been most effective, what day of the week, what time of day to send emails, and I've been using it to kind of analyze that data and help us build really smart campaigns that are converting for that client. So that's a second use case, data analysis. I've also had a couple clients that, for IT reasons or whatever, don't like some of the standard project management tools like Asana and ClickUp and all that. So I've actually built a couple custom dashboards to track the work we're doing together that give everybody access. So that's been a lot of fun. I just learned the
Okay.
term vibe coding, so I've been doing a little bit of that, and I'm pretty impressed with somebody with very little coding skills can put together a pretty robust dashboard in about an hour or two. So I enjoyed doing that because that was a good learning experience as
Okay.
well.
Wow.
So let me pause there. Those are some of the main ones. I do have a few others, but I don't want to go on forever. But
No, no, that's a great start. I mean, I was about to say that somebody doesn't have a knowledge of coding, and then somebody just discover all those things, and then get to the point where they use the tool like a wipe coding, and then kind of start the flow and then creating the dashboard independently. That's amazing. I mean, the other stuff what you mentioned about note takers and all those things, of course, those are the great tools to start with, but those I will consider to be a basic to start with. But now you reach to the somewhere where it's more complex, and you are really using the tool the way it's supposed to be, and then helping the one organization. So that's very commanding, and that's amazing. That's what I wanted to acknowledge. Along with, I mean, I will let you tell me another couple of other features what you're using of AI, but at the same time, I also wanted to add, if you can talk us more that how it changed the industry with using this or without using this. I mean, if you put yourself right now minus 10 years, if you had to do the same thing, what would have been the scenario, and then what is the been scenario right now, which is of course you are saying that it's great. So if you can just talk us through both the part of remaining features as well as the past and future.
yeah, I think some of the AI tools that are available today allow a small firm like RevUp to position themselves and offer more skills and more expertise of a larger firm without having to necessarily add incremental headcount. So we've been able, like, I'm not a trained market researcher, but I've been able to work with AI to identify the right questions to ask, the right way to ask the questions, get on the phone with my clients' customers, and then analyze the results in a way that's actually statistically significant and meaningful. So that's something that it's a combination of teaching new skills and then helping apply those skills. I think the speed at which, just synthesis of data, like for me to go through 10 years, in the last example I gave, 10 years of e-commerce data, I could do it. I could write some Excel macros. I could do some filtering and pivot tables. But literally, the data analysis of 10 years of sales data took about 6 or 7 minutes. There's no way. I'm a reasonably intelligent guy. I like data. I'm pretty familiar with spreadsheets. But that same task would have probably taken me 4 or 5 hours, and I probably would have missed something. I mean, it's just the way things go. So I think speed, I think accuracy. I think there's always a flip side, because I think AI, kind of, it gives you, like, it's been trained on the internet, so you get the average of the internet. So I think sometimes it's not as creative. I think it's not a substitute for human judgment. It shouldn't be, what you just take the output and send right to your clients or send right to your team. But I think it can be a really good thought partner, and sometimes it can help people like me identify blind spots. I go in, I hear a client problem, I already have my own biases on how to solve it, and I can find data that supports it, and I can put that in front of the client. But then I say, to one of my AI tools, what am I missing here? Or how else could you interpret this data to have a different conclusion? And more times than not, I'm surprised by what it comes up with. So it is not a substitute. It is not, people that use it the wrong way, I think, are going to hurt themselves in business. They're going to hurt their brand reputation. If you're just spitting out, obviously, AI generated text and sending it to your clients as your work, that's not going to go so well. But if you're leveraging it as a thought partner, and you're combining your own beliefs, your own experiences, the things you know, and then asking it if you had any blind spots or you missed anything, I think it can be a really powerful team tool, just like a team would be. Normally you'd sit four
Okay.
or five people around and talk about these things, and AI in the right circumstance can be a real valuable thought partner.
Okay, beautiful. So basically, you are agreed on a point where human touch as well as emotions is as important as using the tool or using the software to do the job. But how smartly you can combine both the together and believe in the tool as well as not forget about the humanifying the whole entire process, and then believe in the system, saying that it came from human. End of the day, it's not like something we just dropped in the world and say that, okay, hey, now start using it. So yeah, so believing in that as a leader and as a founder is very important for the people to understand that, okay, hey, it just people are taking it very, very carefully. Now, having said that, one negative point, I don't wanted to say as a negative point, but one drawback, if you say that, okay, hey, you know what, this AI is just kind of doing a lot, or not kind of like making or thinking through and through in my process of the way I'm using this tool and technology right now. I mean, anything if you wanted to emphasize, saying that I came across this thing, I didn't like it. I mean, it required a lot of more research and more in-depth improvement in a way. Anything like that came across?
Yeah, and without talking about any specific tools, because what I'm about to say I think applies. I've used all the major ones. I think two things. One is it seems like they're programmed to tell you what you want to hear. So it's really important to ask unbiased questions and to say, hey, I want you to challenge my thinking. I want you to be critical here. I want real feedback. But I definitely feel like you can guide the answer you want if you're trying to do that. So if
Okay.
based on the prompt, you could get it to say whatever you want it to say. And that concerns me because I don't want a sycophant. I want somebody to actually challenge my thinking and help me give my best work to my clients. The second thing is anybody who's used AI long enough knows there are times it's called a hallucination, but sometimes it just makes stuff up and it's completely untrue. I've started doing things where if I'm doing any market research or industry research for a client, I'll ask one AI tool to do the research, and then I'll cut and paste the output into another and say I want you to double check the sources. And more times than not, they say, oh no, this one's not right, or this is the wrong date, or the URL doesn't work here. So again, great tools, but they are not autonomous. They are not a replacement for human judgment and human thought.
Okay, okay, nice. So the learning from this point is it's not always necessarily correct, because the more the trendy or more the prompt you put it more towards your willingness or your findings, the tool will or the LLMs will just kind of give you the same answers in terms of what you wanted to hear, kind of a thing. Versus if you want to challenge that, they never kind of challenge you, saying that, okay, hey, you should not do that. Or even if you're saying that, it's very quietly or very calmly, they say that, not very aggressively, where other people make an opinion about someone, says that, okay, you know what, you are wrong. So that's element of the whole LLM trainings are not up to the mark. That's what you are kind of trying to mention. But at the same time, when these LLMs or when these the AI models, when you verify that, do you think that it still require a lot of compliance and protocols and a lot of rules what is exist into any certain research parameters? Like, for example, if I'm researching something related to healthcare, right, I need to make sure that whatever the data is giving to me or whatever the research output it gives me, it may be HIPAA compliant, or maybe the protocol are being followed, or the research output it's been safeguarded with the data privacy, data security, stuff like that. Do you came across any of those kind of stuff that it's not up to the mark, or it's just not right there? Any incident like that?
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to share some thoughts, but I just want to say what I do is not typically life and death. And I'm usually looking when I use AI for market research, I'm looking for directional trends and things that I can use to build marketing campaigns or sales strategies, or to help my client identify in a big vertical like retail, where should they specialize, things like that. But I think the best piece of advice I've heard that I wish everybody would listen to is when you're working with AI, treat it like a junior resource at your company. It's smart, it works hard, but don't you would, if you were a partner in a consulting firm, you would never take something an associate wrote and just turn it right into your client and say, "Here you go, here's your deliverable, here's your, $500,000
Okay.
bill." You would
Okay.
scrutinize it, you would check sources, you would validate the conclusions, you would ask yourself if this makes sense. And there's no reason not to do that with anything generated by AI. The time savings of having it take the first draft more than compensates for the time it takes to do a thorough review. So I've been managing people my whole career, and I treat my AI assistants like I would a trusted but junior level employee. And I think with that mindset, you avoid some really embarrassing things that I've seen and heard from colleagues and friends and people doing things that they shouldn't do with AI.
Okay, makes sense. So yeah, so that's right. So it's beautifully said in the sense of in the example what you drive through, and then that's what happens, right? I mean, if you have that kind of a mindset set, then you will never going to make a mistake. You're always going to be, check and then make it secure and make it perfect. Okay, beautiful. So I think those two topic what we discussed, learned a lot, and it kind of helps us saying that where to go next. One last question before we end this thing, any dream or anything which you can think of saying that okay, whatever I have, whatever the AI has been there in the world, it's good, but I can dream of something having something this crazy or this with this magnitude, saying that okay, hey, if the AI can bring that, or AI can do something like that. I mean, if you go 20 years from right now, you might have a dream of saying that okay, hey, a car can drive itself, right? So that kind of dream came into reality nowadays. Many cars are being driven by itself. So anything like that you can think of, any wild thought of saying automation or AI can do that thing in future.
I think that's an excellent question. And I mean, just seeing how the technology has progressed in 3 years, I mean, it's hard to even imagine 20 years from now. I still think what I said that AI, I don't see it ever being a substitute for human judgment. Somebody, myself, I have worked in consulting, helping organizations with sales and marketing for 25, 26 years, probably over 100 clients, definitely over 100 projects. I know that AI can read the entire internet and they can read every book that's ever written, and I again, but I think more holistic thinking is probably where things are going. Right now it does a very good job at answering the questions, and if there's an article out on the internet that it can pull from and say here's data that verifies it, and they're learning all the time. Someday they might be smarter than us, and I'm excited to see where the technology goes. I'm excited to see how much better each model gets and how much more it can do and how much more accurate it gets. But even though I'm a very pro AI person, it's incorporated into both my business and my personal life, I still don't trust it entirely, and I'm not sure 20 more years of evolution of if the goal is to try to take over human thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to be on board saying this is a complete substitute for working with other people or doing like voice of the customer interviews and things like that. I mean, maybe we'll get there. And there's no reason to doubt, with all the great minds working on this and all the competition we have to build the best models, things are going to improve. They're going to get better. But I don't know if I'm sold that I'm out of a job in 20 years. I mean, hopefully I'm in
Okay.
20 years I'm retired of my own
Okay.
volition, and but not because of AI.
Okay, beautiful. So you are putting a human brain and human mind on top of the AI inventions and AI creation, even today, even after 20 years. So that's a great to hear. I mean, people need to understand that end of the day, whatever is being created or invented is done by humans. So then human has to be number one. End of the day, human saves human life. Doesn't matter how many tools and robots and technology you can put in place to help that thing. But again, it's just a help. I mean, it has been invented and created by human end of the day. So yeah, so very beautiful thought. I mean, with this nice conversation, we will end this thing. I'll thank you very much, Brian, for being on the episode, and then talk us through and then share your thoughts. And then one last thing, if somebody wants to reach out to you or somebody wants to get to know about your brand, where they should come, if you can just mention your maybe your website or your LinkedIn, how can we find you?
Yeah, so I'm pretty easy. To the best of my knowledge, I'm the only Brian Precious on LinkedIn, and my last name is spelled exactly like it sounds. So please feel free to connect with me. And then if you're interested in what we do at RevUp, our URL is revupgrowthpartners.com, and rev like revenue and up like the direction we want to
Uh,
take our clients. So
okay.
revupgrowthpartners.com.
Okay, I won't forget to put all those things into this episodes in a tagline. But yeah, till then we meet next time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brian, and thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice
All
day.
right, thanks, Vimal. Appreciate the
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, yeah.